The council chamber floated in the dark of space. Inside, representatives from 47 different species sat in their designated sections. The air recyclers hummed quietly, mixing atmospheres that each species could breathe. Some needed heat, others needed cold. The station provided for all of them. Today nobody cared about comfort. On the massive viewing screen, a world died. The planet's surface writhed with black shapes that moved like water but killed like fire. Cities that had stood for centuries vanished in moments. The recording had been sent 3 days ago. By now that world was completely gone. Ambassador Kelth stood at the central podium, his feathers pressed flat against his body. It was a fear response his species could not hide. "This is the 12th world in 3 cycles," he said. His voice translator made his words sound steadier than he felt. The Vreth swarm does not negotiate. It does not stop. It only consumes. A representative from the Morlian collective raised a tentacle. "We must evacuate the border regions. Pull back our populations to the core worlds." Another voice, this one from a crystalline being that shimmered under the lights. "Retreat? For how long? The Vreth move faster than we do. Eventually there will be nowhere to hide. Then we hide better." The Morlian's skin flashed red with stress. "We cannot fight them. Every fleet we sent has been destroyed. Every defense has failed." The chamber filled with voices. Some shouted. Others whispered. All of them were afraid. Jinwoo sat in the human section and watched. He did not speak. His dark eyes moved from one speaker to another, recording everything. Next to him, Hana typed notes on her datapad. Her fingers moved steadily, calmly. "The human delegation is quiet," Kelth observed. His large eyes focused on Jinwoo. "Earth is far from the Vreth threat. Perhaps you have no opinion?" The chamber went silent. All eyes turned to the humans. Jinwoo stood slowly. He was not tall by human standards, but in this room his movements seemed deliberate, strong. When he walked to the podium, his feet made solid sounds on the floor. Most species moved quietly. Humans did not. "We have watched the recordings," Jinwoo said. His voice needed no translator. He spoke the common language with careful precision. "We have reviewed the data. Humanity will need time to consider our response." "Consider?" A reptilian delegate hissed. "While you consider, worlds die." Jinwoo's expression did not change. "Yes, that is why we will work quickly." He looked around the chamber. "Send us all tactical information. Fleet movements, Vreth attack patterns, weapons analysis, everything you have. To what purpose?" Kelth asked. "We have been studying the Vreth for 3 cycles. No weakness has been found. Perhaps you have not looked in the right way," Jinwoo said simply. He returned to his seat. Hana continued typing. Neither of them spoke again for the rest of the session. After the meeting ended, delegates gathered in small groups. They spoke in hushed tones, glancing toward the human section. "Did you see how calmly they sat?" one whispered. "The recordings showed millions dying, and they did not even react," another added. "I have heard stories about Earth," an elder Pelthian said. His voice was very quiet. "They say it is a death world. A planet that tries to kill everything on it. Impossible. No sentient species could evolve on such a world. And yet, here they stand." In their private quarters, Hana finally stopped typing. She looked at Jinwoo. "They are terrified." "Yes. Not just of the Vreth." Jinwoo nodded. "Also yes." He pulled up the recordings on his personal screen and started them again. His eyes narrowed as he watched the Vreth swarm across cities. "They fight like prey animals, panic, scatter, run." "Most species in the galaxy are prey animals," Hana said. "Or they were millions of years ago. Evolution made them smart, but it did not make them predators. But humans, we are persistence hunters," Hana finished. "When Earth's prey ran, we followed. When they hid, we found them. When they fought, we fought back harder. We did this for hundreds of thousands of years." Jinwoo zoomed in on a section of the recording. "A Vreth attack pattern. Send this to Fleet Command. And send this section. And this one." He marked 7 different timestamps. "They think the Vreth are unstoppable. But you see a pattern." "I see an enemy," Jinwoo said. "And every enemy can be stopped." Across the station in the diplomatic quarters, other species gathered to talk. "The humans disturb me," Ambassador Kelth admitted. "They show no fear." "Perhaps they do not understand the threat," a delegate suggested. "No." Kelth's feathers ruffled. "They understand perfectly. That is what disturbs me. They looked at the same recordings we did. They saw the same death. But where we saw horror, they saw something else. What? Data tactical information. They watched those recordings like a hunter watching prey. That is ridiculous. The Vreth are the threat, not prey. Kelth was quiet for a moment. Then he said, I accessed Earth's cultural database once, out of curiosity. Do you know what I found? The others waited. War. Thousands of years of war. Humans fought each other for so long that they made it into an art. They have more words for killing than most species have for greeting. Kelth's voice dropped even lower. They have a saying on Earth. When you find yourself in hell, keep walking. That is their philosophy. What does it mean? It means they do not stop. Ever. Not when things are difficult. Not when things are impossible. They simply keep moving forward. Surely that is just primitive stubbornness. Perhaps, Kelth said, but he did not sound convinced. In the human quarters, a message arrived from Earth. Hana read it first, then showed it to Jinwoo. It was very short. Fleet departing, arrival 14 cycles, hold position. Jinwoo allowed himself a small smile. Forward this to Ambassador Kelth, he should know. Should we tell the Assembly? Not yet. Let them debate and plan and worry. When our fleet arrives, they will understand. Hana looked at the message again. 14 cycles seemed like a long time. What if another world falls before then? Jinwoo's smile faded. Then we will make sure the Vreth pay for it later. He stood and walked to the window. Outside, stars burned in the darkness. Somewhere beyond them, human warships were moving. Fast. Hana, do you remember why we joined the Assembly? To learn. To explore. To make friends among the stars. Yes. All of that. Jinwoo placed his hand against the window. The cold of space radiated through it. But there was another reason. An older reason. One we do not speak about often. What reason? Jinwoo turned to face her. His eyes were hard now. Serious. Because humanity learned long ago that friendship means nothing if you cannot protect your friends. We came to the stars with open hands, but we made sure we could close those hands into fists. Outside in the darkness, something was moving. The Vreth swarm was coming closer, and behind it, unseen and unknown to all but 2 humans, Earth's fleet was coming too. The galaxy was about to learn what it meant when Deathworlders went to war. Hana woke at the same time she always did. 5 in the morning, station time. Her body knew the rhythm even when her mind wanted more sleep. She dressed in exercise clothing and left her quarters. The station's gym was empty. It usually was at this hour. Most species did not believe in voluntary physical stress. Why would they? Their worlds were gentle. Their evolution was peaceful. Exercise meant play, not survival training. Hana began with a run. The treadmill hummed under her feet. She set it to Earth gravity. The machine's display flashed a warning. Gravity setting exceeds station safety recommendations. She ignored it. Like she always did, her feet pounded against the belt. 1 kilometer, 2.5, her heart rate climbed but stayed in the training zone. On Earth, she could run 20 kilometers and barely feel tired. Here on the station, with its light gravity, she had to add weight to her clothes just to get a real workout. The door opened. Hana glanced at the mirror and saw Ambassador Kelth entering. He stopped when he saw her running. You do this every day? He asked. Yes. Hana did not slow down. Talking while running was easy. Why? To stay strong. To stay ready. Kelth watched the display showing her gravity setting. His feathers pressed flat. That weight would crush my bones. How do you survive it? I was born in it, Hana smiled. Earth's gravity is stronger than most worlds. Our bodies adapted. Adapted? Kelth repeated the word like it was foreign. Your homeworld sounds horrible. Hana thought about home. Green forests and blue oceans. Mountains that touch the sky. Storms that could flatten cities. Deserts that could cook flesh. Winters that could freeze blood. Yes, Earth was dangerous, but it was also beautiful. Earth is demanding, she said. It gives us life, but it makes us earn it. She finished her run and moved to the weights. The station's gravity made everything lighter, so she loaded the bar with extra plates. When she lifted it, Kelth made a sound like wind through leaves. Fear. How much weight is that? In station gravity? About 50 kilograms. In Earth gravity, it would be 200. Kelth's translator struggled with the numbers. Impossible. Hana set the bar down carefully. Ambassador, may I tell you a story? Yes? When I was 16 years old, I did survival training. It is something many humans do. We learn to survive when everything goes wrong. She began another set of lifts. They took us to a desert. No water, no food, no shelter. Just us and the land. Temperature was 50 degrees during the day, below freezing at night. That would kill most species in hours. Yes, it killed one of our group, a boy named Hyunwoo. He made a mistake with his water. Drank too much too fast. His body failed. Hana paused, but the rest of us survived. 5 days in that desert. We learned to find water, to make shade, to walk at night and rest during the day. When they came to get us, we were thin and burned and exhausted. But we were alive. Kelth was very quiet. On Earth, Hana continued, everything wants to kill you. The weather, the animals, the plants. Even the air can become toxic during certain storms. So we learned. We adapted. We became very, very good at surviving. That sounds like a nightmare world, Hana laughed. Yes, we call it home. She finished her workout and went to shower. The hot water felt good on her muscles. Through the wall, she could hear other species starting their day. They moved quietly, carefully, like everything was fragile. Humans moved differently. They moved like they expected resistance. Later in her office, Hana reviewed messages from Earth. There were reports from xenobiologists studying the Vreth, combat analysts looking at fleet movements, and personal messages from friends and family. Her brother Junho had written. He was a Marine, part of Earth's defense fleet. His message was short. Heard you have bug problems. We are coming to help. Stay safe, little sister. Hana smiled at the screen. Hunyo always called her little sister even though she was only 2 years younger. He always promised to keep her safe even though they were thousands of light years apart. That was human nature too. Protect family. Protect tribe. Protect friends. A new message arrived. This one was official, flagged urgent. Hana opened it and read quickly. Her smile faded. Another world had fallen. The 13th. The Vreth had taken it in less than a day. She forwarded the message to Jinwoo and stood. Time to go to the assembly. The emergency session was already in progress when she arrived. On the screen, footage showed the latest attack. This world had been warned. They had evacuated most of their population, but millions had stayed behind, unable or unwilling to leave. All of them were gone now. We cannot keep running, someone was saying. Eventually we will run out of places to go. Then what do you suggest? Another voice demanded. We have no weapons that work. No tactics that succeed. The Vreth adapt to everything we try. Perhaps we could negotiate. With what? They do not communicate. They only consume. Hana sat next to Jinwoo. He was watching the footage with that same calm expression. She leaned close and whispered, New data from Earth. Fleet is moving faster than expected. Arrival in 12 cycles. Jinwoo nodded slightly. On screen, the Vreth swarmed over a city. Their movements were fluid, coordinated, like a single organism with a billion bodies. They hunt in packs, Hana whispered, like wolves. Yes, but wolves can be killed. Ambassador Kelth noticed them talking. The human delegation has something to share? Jinwoo stood. We have been analyzing the Vreth attack patterns. We have found something interesting. The chamber focused on him. Waiting. The Vreth move as a collective. This is their strength. They coordinate perfectly. React instantly. Adapt quickly. Jinwoo pulled up a tactical display. But this is also a weakness. They are predictable. They always swarm. They always attack the same way. They have no individual initiative. We know this already, a delegate said. It helps us nothing. We cannot fight a billion enemies that think as one. Perhaps you cannot, Jinwoo said. But humans have been fighting swarms for thousands of years. What do you mean? Locusts, ants, rats, mosquitoes. Earth has many species that attack in massive numbers. We learned to fight them. We learned to win. Jinwoo's eyes were hard now. Cold. We learned that swarms have a center. Kill the center and the swarm dies. The Vreth have no center. They are everywhere. Everything has a center, Hana said, speaking up for the first time. Everything has a weakness. You just have to be willing to look for it, and willing to pay the price to exploit it. Kelth's feathers ruffled. What price? Jinwoo and Hana looked at each other. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Jinwoo said, War is not clean. It is not easy. It requires sacrifice. It requires that some must die so others can live. This is a truth humanity learned long ago. Perhaps it is a truth the galaxy must learn now. The chamber was silent. No one wanted to hear that truth. No one wanted to accept it. But deep in space, Earth's fleet was coming closer. And with it came humanity's answer to the Vreth swarm. An answer written in weapons and armor and the blood of a species that had never learned to surrender. The alarms went off during a routine assembly session. Warning lights flashed red. Every delegate's personal communicator screamed with alerts. Multiple contacts entering the sector. The station's AI announced. Large fleet detected. Unidentified signatures. Panic spread through the chamber. Another species had fallen to the Vreth, now they were here. At the assembly itself, Ambassador Kelth's voice shook. Evacuate! Sound the... Wait! Jinwoo was standing, looking at his data pad. He was smiling. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a predator that had found prey. Those are not Vreth signatures. Then who? Check your scanners. Those are human vessels. The main display switched to an external view. Space rippled like water and ships began to appear. 1, then 5, then 20, then more. They kept coming. Kelth stared at the screen. How many ships? 53 capital ships, Jinwoo read from his pad. 112 destroyers. 247 support craft. And 1 dreadnought. He looked up. My people do not do anything halfway. The ships were nothing like the sleek, elegant vessels of other species. Where alien ships were smooth and curved, human ships were angular and brutal. They looked like flying fortresses built for one purpose: war. The largest vessel dominated the view. It was massive, dark gray, covered in armor plating and weapon ports. Letters on its hull spelled out a name: Indomitable. That cannot be a warship, someone whispered. It is too large, too heavily armed. That is a dreadnought-class vessel, Jinwoo said. Humanity has 6 of them. This one is commanded by Captain Taiho. He is experienced. A communication channel opened. The face that appeared on screen made several delegates gasp. Taiho looked human, but he was scarred. Burns crossed one side of his face. His eyes were hard. This was a man who had seen combat and survived. Assembly station. This is Captain Taiho of the Earth Defense Fleet. We received your distress call regarding the Vreth swarm. We are here to help. His voice was calm, but there was steel underneath. Requesting tactical briefing and permission to engage the enemy. Kelth found his voice. Permission to... You intend to fight them? That is why we came. We do not run from fights, but the Vreth are... We know what they are. We have reviewed all available data. We have formulated a battle plan. We are ready. Taiho's expression did not change. Are you ready to watch? The assembly was silent. I will take that as a yes, Taiho said. Tactical briefing in 1 hour. Taiho out. The screen went black. Hana watched the delegates. They looked shocked, confused. Some looked hopeful. Many looked afraid. They fear the Vreth, she said to Jinwoo. But now they also fear us. Yes. Fear is a useful tool. 1 hour later, the assembly gathered again. This time, human military officers joined the meeting. Taiho appeared in person, along with his tactical officer Minji. They wore combat uniforms, dark and functional. No ceremony, no decoration, just utility. Minji activated a tactical display. The Vreth swarm currently occupies 13 star systems. Their expansion pattern is predictable. They move from resource-rich worlds to other resource-rich worlds. They ignore barren planets and dead systems. We know this, a delegate said. It has not helped us stop them. Because you have been trying to defend everything, Minji continued. Defense is impossible against an enemy that outnumbers you millions to 1. So we will not defend. We will attack. She highlighted a system on the map. Our analysis shows this is the Vreth's primary staging area. They launch attacks from here. Supply their swarms from here. This is their center. How can you know that? Kelth asked. Pattern analysis. The Vreth are predictable. They are efficient. And efficiency requires a central coordination point. Minji zoomed in on a planet. This world. We believe the Vreth hive mind originates here. That world is in the heart of Vreth territory, surrounded by their forces. Approach is impossible. Taiho spoke for the first time. Difficult. Not impossible. There is a difference. He stepped forward. Here is what will happen. My fleet will execute a direct assault on the central world. We will punch through their lines. We will destroy their coordination center. Without it, the swarms will become disorganized, easier to defeat. You speak as if this is certain, as if victory is guaranteed. No, Tejo said. Victory is not guaranteed. Many of my people will die. Many of my ships will be destroyed. But we will succeed. Because failure is not an option. Another delegate spoke up. What will this cost? How many lives? Minji pulled up casualty projections. The numbers were horrifying. 30% fleet losses. Expected casualties in the thousands. Ships that would never return home. The assembly saw these numbers and recoiled. You would sacrifice so many? Kelth asked. We would sacrifice all of them if necessary, Taiho said. That is what soldiers do. That is what warriors do. We stand between danger and those who cannot fight, and we pay the price. He looked around the chamber. At the delegates from 47 species, at the faces filled with fear and doubt. You have been at peace for so long you have forgotten what war costs. Humanity has not forgotten. We cannot forget. Our history is written in blood and survival. Every generation fights. Every generation sacrifices. This is who we are. But why? Someone asked. Why would you risk so much for worlds that are not your own? Hana answered before Taiho could. Because you called for help. Because people are dying. Because it is the right thing to do. She stood and walked to the center of the chamber. Humanity learned long ago that we are stronger together. That we survive by helping each other. When Earth had famines, we shared food. When cities fell to disasters, we rebuilt them together. This is our nature. To help, to protect. To fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. She looked at Kelth. You ask why we would risk our lives for you. We ask why would we not? The chamber was quiet. Very quiet, Tejo continued. The operation begins in 48 hours. We recommend all non-essential vessels withdraw from the border regions. This will be a war zone. Civilians should not be present. When will you know if the plan succeeds? Kelth asked. We will send reports as often as possible. But understand, we may go silent for extended periods. Communication will be difficult during combat. And if you fail, Tejo's scarred face showed no emotion. Then we die trying, and you will need to find another solution. But we will not fail. He stood straight, formal. The Earth Defense Fleet does not fail. The meeting ended. The officers left. Within hours, the human fleet began moving, formation after formation of warships, positioning themselves for the assault. Hana watched them go from the observation deck. Jinwoo joined her. Do you think they can win? Hana asked. I think they will not stop until they do. Jinwoo placed a hand on the window. That is the human way. We do not surrender. We do not quit. When faced with impossible odds, we step forward and make them possible. Even if it costs everything, especially then. Outside, the fleet accelerated toward the Vreth territory, toward battle, toward death or victory. In the command center of the Indomitable, Taiho sat in his captain's chair and gave a single order. All ships, full speed ahead. We have a swarm to kill. And humanity went to war. The first shots were fired 3 hours into the journey. The Vreth detected the human fleet and sent interceptors, thousands of them, small craft that moved like insects, fast and deadly. In the command center of the Indomitable, Minji watched the tactical display. Contact, multiple bogies. Estimated 15,000 enemy craft. Taiho did not blink. Deploy fighters. All wings. From the belly of every carrier, human fighters launched. They looked small against the Vreth swarm, fragile. But appearances were deceiving. Dongyun sat in the cockpit of his fighter, call sign painted on the side, Reaper. Around him, his squadron formed up. 12 fighters against thousands of enemies. Control, this is Reaper Squadron. We have visual on the swarm. Copy, Reaper. You are clear to engage. Dongyun smiled inside his helmet. All wings, remember your training. Stay in formation. Watch your fuel. And if things go bad, make it count. The fighters accelerated into the swarm. The Vreth came at them like a wave. Dongyun's weapons fired, filling space with projectiles. Each shot was calculated, precise. Human computers predicted Vreth movements and compensated. Where alien species relied on evasion, humans relied on firepower. Reaper 3 is hit. I am losing power. Reaper 3, eject if you can. We will recover you. Negative. Too deep in the swarm. I cannot. Static. Then nothing. Dongyun's jaw tightened. Reaper 3 had been a rookie. A kid named Minho who had just graduated from academy. Now he was gone. All wings, Titan formation. Make them pay for that. The battle intensified. Human fighters fell. But for every fighter lost, hundreds of Vreth died. The math was brutal. The math was necessary. On the Indomitable, Taiho watched the battle unfold. Status? We have lost 8 fighters. Enemy losses approximately 4,000 craft. The path is opening. Then we take it. All ships forward thrust. Break through their line. The capital ships moved forward. They were too large to dodge, too slow to evade, so they did not try. They simply absorbed the damage and kept moving. Alarms blared. Hull breaches in 3 sections. Shields at 60%. Casualties reported on decks 9 and 14. Seal the breaches. Reroute power to forward shields. And keep moving. This was human warfare. Not elegant. Not clean. Just brutal, relentless forward momentum. Behind the fleet, on the assembly station, delegates watched through camera feeds. They saw human ships take damage that would destroy any other vessel and keep fighting. They saw fighters sacrifice themselves to clear paths for larger ships. They saw humanity's true face. They are insane, someone whispered. No, Kelth said quietly. They are committed. There is a difference. The fleet punched through the first defensive line, then the second. The Vreth adapted quickly, changing tactics. But humans adapted faster. Every attack was analyzed. Every weakness exploited. Minji worked her console without pause. New Vreth pattern detected. Updating firing solutions. Sending data to all ships. How long until we reach the target world? At current speed, 6 hours. But we will face heavier resistance soon. She was right. 3 hours later, the real battle began. The Vreth sent everything. Not just fighters. Capital ships of their own. Massive organic vessels that grew weapons instead of building them. They fired projectiles that were alive, that adapted mid-flight. Brace for impact. The Indomitable shook. Armor plating tore away. Atmosphere vented into space. Emergency teams rushed to seal breaches while the ship continued fighting. On deck 7, Sungmin led his Marines through the corridors. His helmet display showed a breach ahead. Something had penetrated the hull. Something big. Marines, weapons ready. We have boarders. They rounded a corner and saw them. Vreth ground troops. They looked like nightmares. All claws and teeth and black carapace. They moved too fast, too coordinated. Sungmin fired. His rifle sent rounds downrange at hypersonic speeds. The Vreth adapted, hardening their armor. So Sungmin changed tactics. Incendiaries! Burn them. Marines switched weapons. Fire filled the corridor. The Vreth screamed. Even they could not adapt fast enough to that. Push forward. Do not let them reach the bridge. For an hour, Sungmin and his Marines fought. The Vreth kept coming. The Marines kept killing them. Bodies piled up. Human and Vreth both. The corridor became a slaughterhouse. Behind the lines, Yuna ran with her medical team. They pulled wounded Marines out of danger, treated injuries under fire, saved lives while death surrounded them. Medic! We need help here. Yuna slid into cover next to a wounded Marine. His name was Bowman. He had been hit in the chest. His armor had stopped the worst of it, but he was bleeding badly. You will be fine, Yuna told him. Her hands moved with practiced precision, injecting medicine, sealing wounds. Stay with me. The Vreth. Did we stop them? Yes, your squad held the line. Now let me hold yours. She stabilized him and called for extraction. 2 more Marines carried Bowman to the medical bay while Yuna moved to the next wounded soldier. This was war, not the glorious battles from stories. The real thing. Ugly, painful, necessary. On the bridge, Taiho received reports from all sections. Casualties mounting. Damage severe. But the fleet was still moving. Still fighting. Sir, we are approaching the target world. Through the view screen they could see it. A planet completely covered by the Vreth. Black organic structures covered every surface. This was the heart of the swarm. All ships prepare for final assault. This is what we came for. Minji pulled up targeting data. I have identified the central structure. It is massive. Buried deep under the surface. Can we reach it? Yes, but we will need to commit everything. All weapons, all remaining ordnance. If we do this, we will not have enough supplies to fight our way back out. Taiho did not hesitate. Then we make sure we only need to do it once. Prepare the strike. The fleet took position. Every ship targeted the same location. Every weapon charged. This would be all or nothing. All ships report ready, sir. Taiho looked around his bridge. At Minji working her console. At his crew, tired and wounded but still fighting. At the camera feed showing Seungmin and his Marines defending the ship. At the medical bay where Yuna saved lives. These were his people. Humanity's finest, and they had done the impossible. For Earth, Taiho said quietly. Then louder, all ships, fire everything. The void lit up like a sun being born. Every weapon humanity had brought fired at once, missiles, railguns, energy weapons. Kinetic strikes. The combined firepower of 53 capital ships focused on a single point. The planet's surface exploded. The organic structures burned, and deep below something massive died. On the tactical display, Minji watched the Vreth formations. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then all at once they stopped moving. Just stopped, like puppets with cut strings. The hive mind, Minji's voice was amazed. It is gone, we did it. We killed it. Around the fleet, Vreth ships began to drift. Without coordination, they were just empty vessels. The swarm was broken. Taiho allowed himself a small smile. Then he started giving orders. All ships begin recovery operations. Find our people, bring them home. But the victory had cost them. Of the 53 capital ships that entered the battle, 32 remained. 15,000 crew members had died. Hundreds of fighters were lost. The price was high, the price was always high, but humanity had paid it. And the galaxy was saved. The human fleet returned in pieces. Ships limped back to the assembly station with hulls torn open and engines barely functioning. They came slowly, carrying their dead and wounded. The victory had been absolute. The cost had been terrible. The assembly chamber filled beyond capacity. Every species wanted to be present, to witness, to understand what had happened. On the main screen, the battle footage played. Delegates watched human ships take punishment that should have destroyed them and keep fighting. They watched Marines fight hand-to-hand against Vreth boarders. They watched fighters sacrifice themselves to clear paths for bombers. They watched humanity bleed and they watched humanity win. Ambassador Kelth stood at the podium. His voice was steady now, different from before. The Vreth swarm is broken. Their hive mind is destroyed. Without central coordination, the remaining Vreth are scattered and leaderless. The threat is ended. He paused. Humanity has saved the galaxy. Applause filled the chamber. But it was uncertain, confused. Yes, humanity had saved them, but humanity had also terrified them. We must acknowledge Earth's sacrifice, Kelth continued. 21 ships destroyed. Thousands of casualties. They paid a price we were unwilling to pay ourselves. The applause grew quieter. However, a delegate stood, a tall being from the Pelthian Concord. We must also discuss security going forward. Humanity has demonstrated military capabilities far beyond what we knew existed. Ships designed for war, soldiers trained for killing. This raises concerns. Murmurs of agreement spread through the chamber. We propose restrictions on human military expansion, the Pelthian continued. Limits on fleet size. Oversight on weapons development. We must ensure that the power that saved us does not become a threat to us. More murmurs. More nods. Hana felt anger rise in her chest. They were going to do this. After everything. After the sacrifice. They were going to try to cage humanity because they were afraid. But Jinwoo placed a hand on her arm. Wait, he whispered. Let them talk. Let them reveal themselves, the Pelthian continued. We mean no disrespect to Earth, but we must be practical. A species this willing to sacrifice, this comfortable with violence, this effective at war. They could easily become conquerors. We could, a new voice said. Everyone turned. Taiho had entered the chamber. He walked slowly, favoring his left leg. His uniform was stained with blood and soot. His face was drawn with exhaustion. Behind him, other human officers followed. Minji, Seungmin, Donghyun, Yuna. All of them looked like they had been through hell, because they had. Taiho walked to the center of the chamber. He did not go to the podium. He stood among the delegates. Eye level. You are right to fear us, he said. We are dangerous. We are effective killers. We know how to wage war better than any species in this galaxy. Silence. But you misunderstand why. Taiho turned, looking at each delegate. We are good at war because we have had to be. Earth gave us no choice. Our history gave us no choice. We learned to fight or we died. Generation after generation, millennium after millennium. War was not something we wanted. It was something we survived. He touched his scarred face. I got this fighting the Vreth. leading my Marines through a breached hull. A Vreth drone exploded next to me. The blast burned half my face. My medic, Yuna here, saved my life. He gestured to the woman behind him. She pulled me out while the ship was falling apart. While enemy fire surrounded us, she did not have to. She could have saved herself. But she saved me instead. Yuna stepped forward. I am a medic. My job is to save lives, not to take them. In the battle, I treated 147 wounded. Humans and aliens both. I did not ask which species they were. I did not ask if they deserved saving. I just saved them. She looked at the assembly. That is humanity. We fight when we must, but we save when we can. Sungmin spoke next. I am a Marine. I killed many Vreth. I lost 17 members of my platoon. Good people, friends. His voice was rough with emotion. They died protecting the station. Protecting all of you. They died so you would not have to fight, so you could stay safe. That is what soldiers do. Donghyun stepped forward. His flight suit still smelled of smoke. I am a pilot. I lost 42 members of my wing. 42 friends who flew next to me, who trusted me, who followed my orders into hell. He stared at the Pelthian delegate. And you want to talk about restricting us? About controlling us? After we bled for you? The chamber was silent. Jinwoo stood. He walked slowly to join the others. When he spoke, his voice carried through the entire chamber. You shook in silence while worlds burned. You debated and discussed and did nothing. You were afraid. We understand fear, but we do not let fear stop us from doing what is right. He looked around the chamber. You ask us to accept restrictions, to limit our military, to prove we are not a threat, but we have already proven who we are. We proved it by coming when you called. We proved it by fighting when you would not. We proved it by dying so you could live. Hana stood and joined them. All the humans together now. You have a choice, she said. You can fear us. You can try to control us. You can treat us like a threat. Or you can stand with us. You can be our allies, our friends, our partners. But understand, Jinwoo continued, we will not be less than what we are. We will not apologize for being good at survival. We will not accept chains because you are afraid. We came to the stars with open hands. Those hands remain open, but they are also strong. And if you force us to close them, you will regret it. The silence stretched. Every delegate waited to see what would happen next. Then Kelth stood. His feathers were no longer pressed flat. They were raised proud. I was wrong, he said. About many things. About humans. About courage. About what it means to stand against darkness. He stepped down from his seat, walked across the chamber floor, and stood next to Jinwoo. Earth saved us when we could not save ourselves. They bled for us when we were unwilling to bleed. They stepped forward when we stepped back. Kelth looked at his fellow delegates. I will not repay that courage with chains. I will not answer sacrifice with suspicion. The Avian Republic stands with humanity, as friends, as allies, as equals. For a moment, nothing happened. Then another delegate stood. Then another. One by one, they came forward. Not all of them. Some remained seated, still afraid, still suspicious. But enough came forward. Enough to change everything. The Pelthian delegate watched this happen. His expression was unreadable. Finally, he spoke. It seems I am outvoted. He paused. Perhaps that is as it should be. Perhaps we have been wrong about many things. He did not come forward. But he bowed his head. It was not acceptance. But it was not resistance either. Taiho looked at Kelth, at the other aliens who had stepped forward, at his fellow humans. Then let us build something new. Not restrictions. An alliance. A real one. Where strong protect weak. Where brave defend fearful. Where we stand together. The galaxy has been at peace for centuries, Kelth said. But it was a fragile peace. A weak peace. We hid from threats instead of facing them. Now you have learned, Minji said. Peace without strength is just waiting to die. Strength without peace is just tyranny. But together? Together we can build something that lasts. The Assembly voted. Not on restrictions. On something new. The Security Council. With humanity as its guardian. Its protector. Its sword and shield, the vote passed. Not unanimously, but overwhelmingly. As the chamber emptied, Hana stood with Jinwoo at the observation window. Outside, human ships were being repaired, slowly rebuilt, made ready for whatever came next. Do you think it will work? Hana asked. This alliance? I think we gave them something they have never had before, Jinwoo said. Hope. Not the hope that comes from hiding. The hope that comes from knowing someone will stand and fight when darkness comes. They fear us still? Yes. But now they also respect us. Fear and respect can be the beginning of trust, he smiled. Besides, we did not come to the stars to be liked. We came to survive. To explore, to grow. If others choose to stand with us, good. If not, we will continue anyway. That is very human. Yes, it is. Outside, the stars burned in the darkness, and humanity stood among them. Not as conquerors, not as saviors, just as themselves. Strong, determined, unbreakable. The galaxy had learned to speak softly. Now they had their stick, and that stick was held by hands that knew how to use it.